my parents, my grandparents, they did it the right way. They did it legally. This fight isn't my fight because we did it the right way. If you're a young East Asian American person and you fix your mouth to say something like that, then that tells me you really don't know the first thing about your own history. And this whole idea of they did it legally, do you understand that there used to be a time where we couldn't, people like us couldn't do it legally. We were prohibited, we were restricted from even being here. The Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882 made it so that people from China and other parts of Asia were not even allowed to enter this country. They couldn't work here and they couldn't live here. So legally wasn't even an option. And then if you say something like, well, I'm here legally, so I'm safe, I'm protected. Need I remind you that in 1942, 120,000 Japanese and other Asian Americans were scooped up out of their lives from their homes and taken to internment camps. Some as close to Los Angeles as Santa Anita. And these were US citizens, second, third, fourth generation Americans, people who had served in the US military, teachers, doctors, professionals, taken out of their lives, stripped of all of their belongings, put in camps. People in my father's generation, American citizens that look just like us. And because you're a US citizen, you think that these civil rights of yours are protected. Where do you think these civil rights that you enjoy so much, where do you think they came from? How do you think you got them? By the good graces of the US government? No. It was because of Black people and the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement spearheaded by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The act effectively outlawed discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The spirit of the civil rights movement, because we basically learned how to protest and fight for our rights from the Black civil rights movement. Because of that, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 helped to lead to the passage of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. And that removed the quota system and opened up immigration to those who were highly skilled, and that's important to remember, I'm going to get back to that in just a second, or had existing familial relationships in the US. 10 years after the signing, the Asian immigration population doubled and to this day has shaped the diversity of our country. But let's get back to this real quick because this is important. I'm hearing so many young Asian American, East Asians specifically, saying things like, well, my parents came here and they worked hard and they made a life for themselves, and that's why we are so successful in this country, and that's why, we make so much money and we're all so highly educated. And true as that may be, because yes, they do work hard, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but it wasn't just hard work alone. In order to be here, our parents and grandparents had to apply, and those applications contained things like their level of education and their skills. So they were hand selected. It wasn't just whoever wanted to come could come. They were hand selected to be here. And guess who they chose? They chose people with skills like doctors or accountants or engineers or people like my father who were architects. So that's really important. Something that you should factor in when you say things like that, because our parents and grandparents, they came here with a leg up. They came here with an advantage. And there are so many immigrants that come here that don't. And not only do they not have an advantage, they are at a complete and total disadvantage. And they are escaping things like human trafficking, like drug cartels, like war, like poverty. And a lot of them don't have any money. They don't have an education. But you know what they do want? They want the same thing that our parents and our grandparents wanted. And that is a life. That is a life for them and for their children. So go back to that. Go back to that ideal, because that's something you seem to understand. Our parents and grandparents came here because they wanted a better life. Well, so do they. But things like legality and advantages aren't always on their side like it may have been for us. Because we didn't come by it on our own, and they shouldn't have to either.